Hey guys, it's Gladys. 11.2 feet. That is exactly 2 overqualified short kings stacked on top of each other. And it's also the absolute highest extreme water level ever recorded to hitting Palm Beach County. Now, that Virginia boy may not run a 9.7 second 100-meter dash every single time he steps on the track, but when he does, it changes the world. So, it's the exact same with the ocean. The extreme maximum is what destroys our infrastructure. But what is actually terrifying is the lowest daily elevation of the ocean. The ocean's baseline is rising. Exactly 1 year ago today, the low tide was 0.47 feet. But if you look back at the exact same week in 1950, the low tides were plunging all the way down to negative 0.48 feet. The permanent baseline of our ocean just swelled by almost a foot. Let's engineer something. Welcome to hurricane season, girlies. Almost a foot may not seem like a lot to you pros, but with how water stacks, the ocean sitting that much higher causes that extreme high tide to hit the coastline much differently than it used to. This extra volume of water on top of that elevated baseline means our oceans are reaching higher up the coastline, swallowing our pipes and flowing backwards right into our streets. We are drowning because the base ocean elevation is physically higher than it was in the 1950s, which happens to be exactly when a lot of these coastal drainage systems were last designed and installed. As a result, this time period is the basis of our civil world today. Here's what the disconnect happens. Whenever the news incorrectly talks about the sea level rise, they always show a video of a glacier melting in Antarctica, as if it's only a phantom thing happening thousands of miles away where no one lives. And sure, adding more water to the bathtub definitely makes the water level rise, but that is only half the math. The civil engineering reality no one wants to talk about is thermodynamics. The ocean isn't just filling up, it's also swelling up. Let me explain. It all starts with what we are dumping into the water. I previously talked about how our scam asphalt roads and lazy pretreatment laws are allowing millions of gallons of toxic soup to wash away directly into our canals. The thermodynamic nightmare here is that this soup is full of synthetic engine oils and VOCs. Modern synthetic engine oils are engineered to hold massive amounts of thermal energy. Some can withstand up to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. When all that oil washes into the ocean, it floats. Then we add direct sunlight. This turns the ocean and the oil into a giant Dutch oven, literally steamed lobster. While that may sound delicious, do you really want your lobster cooked in car oil? So we turn the ocean into a pot of gumbo. But here is the physics rule that no one wants to talk about: thermal expansion. When water heats up, the H2O molecules get energetic. They vibrate faster and push away from each other. It's like wearing your most slimming dress to a bottomless brunch, accidentally taking a deep breath and busting the seams. Your body, and fortunately that dress, just needed more room. Listen, you're a 32, not a 28. At least not yet. Because of this toxic thermal blanket, the water is getting dangerously warm, so the ocean is physically swelling and busting its own seams. In July 2023, the ocean surface right down in Manatee Bay, Florida, hit 101.1 degrees Fahrenheit. This is literal hot tub temperature. That is the exact reason the baseline of our ocean is sitting almost a full foot higher today than when it was installed in 1950s drainage pipes. But that trap heat doesn't just expand the water, it creates a terrifying chain reaction above it. If you have a pool and use a heat pump, it loses water a lot quicker. That water gets warm, turns to gas, evaporates. When you have a whole lot of that gas coming off a 101-degree ocean, it builds a massive hurricane. I didn't say welcome to hurricane season, girlies, for nothing. This heated ocean is fueling storms, but it's also causing a massive temperature swing, like it's snowing in March or being 60 degrees in April in Florida. People don't believe in global warming because it's still cold outside, but that is exactly what hyperevaporation does. It's also why the weather is so perfect right after a hurricane. We call it atmospheric AC. Up to 40,000 feet where those storm clouds peak, the air is well below zero. When it rains, millions of gallons of freezing water drop down to us small people on the ground, giving us that natural AC. So we have an expanding boiling ocean that is literally changing the weather. With all these massive threats, we have to be real about how we are actually handling this on the ground. Florida was hit with an apocalyptic 11.2-foot wall of water back in 1928. The government and developers knew that extreme maximum was possible, yet for the last 100 years, they kept building million-dollar coastal homes sitting at elevation 6 just to save money to fill dirt. They justified it by calling it a 100-year storm event. Growing up in Florida, this was super confusing. The news and the government let the public believe that means these events only happen once a century.
The White House itself pushing back on criticism, saying that Trump cannot be blamed for a once-in-a-century natural disaster.
But in real life, it's just a marketing scam. A 100-year storm actually means there is a 1% chance of it happening every single year. It's not on a timeline. It's a terrifying probability. And just for context, a 100-year flood is basically a tropical storm. We had a year where we had tons of them. When making the laws in the 50s to save money, those developers gambled that it wouldn't happen again in their lifetime. I guess the rich just played their grandchildren. Well, they lost that bet at least 100 times over because the ocean is boiling and thermally expanding. The baseline is so high, we don't even need an 11-foot hurricane to drown those homes anymore. But the government does have solutions. Let's talk about two of them. Solution 1. Down in Broward County, they put a mandate in place that all new coastal developments must raise their seawalls to a minimum of 5 feet. It's an absolute joke. If you look at the FEMA maps right down the road in Pompano Beach, the base flood elevation is 7 feet. A 5-foot wall does absolutely nothing against a 7-foot storm. A 5-foot wall just pushes the floodwater into a less developed neighboring community. Oh my God. Are we the bad guys? Duh. Dealing with the oil heating the water, we technically have pre-treatment laws to intercept these oils before they hit the ocean. But here's the reality. We aren't going to stop using shampoos. And we are literally fighting global wars for oil right now. Our entire society is dependent on the very things baking our oceans. Like my face wash, makeup, shampoos, conditioners, toothpaste. Nope, I can't do it. Looking like this is a process. Taller seawalls just push the floodwater to the neighbor's yard, and lazy enforcement lets the toxic soup slip right through. We are at a stalemate. We need to switch to the Sera standard, and as soon as my lawyer lets me, you'll know. Stop boiling the ocean. Let's engineer a better foundation. Like, comment, subscribe, and remember, you can't save the world if you're busted. See you next time. Bye.